Having called our meeting to order, I'd like to ask you to join me in the invocation, please. Lord, we come before you humbly this evening, thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us individually and upon this city corporately. Lord, I pray that we will be mindful of each and every resident of this city and the situations that they live in and encounter every day, and help us to be empathetic and compassionate to each and every one of those needs. Lord, we thank you for the calling that you have placed upon our lives and the opportunities that you have presented to put us in a position to lead. We ask for your guidance and direction in that undertaking. We thank you for the workers of this city, for the employees. We ask that you watch over and keep them safe in their calling and endeavors on a daily basis, and pray that tonight's meeting might lead and direct this city in a way that you acknowledge is best. We ask these things in Jesus' name for us. Amen. Amen. With that, then, we'll turn to the public forum part of our meeting this evening. Public forum is an opportunity to come before council with issues or items that are relevant to our meeting. Ms. Duncan, anyone to appear in public forum this evening?
No, sir.
With that, then, we'll move to the minutes of the council meeting. Council, you have the minutes of the August 13th meeting. They're contained in your packet this evening. I'll entertain a motion that they be received.
So motion.
Sir, I'll entertain one as a motion and one as a second. Any items of note for our clerk? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Council, you also have the departmental reports contained in your agenda as well. These would be the items from July that might be of interest to you, including activity in some of our departments. I would urge you to take a look at those, and any questions that you might have would most appropriately be directed either to the administrator or to the department head. David Seifert from our financial and accounting department joins us this evening for our financial report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight we're pleased to present to you the budget report for the period ended July 31st, 2013. At that time, we have current revenue recorded of $286,873 with $887,424 recorded as expenditures. And those expenditures carry us 3% under budget for the period ended July 31st. If you'll reference the dashboards, we have a positive variance on the revenue side of $64,940 and a positive variance on the expenditure side of $120,044. That is a total combined positive variance of $184,984. And the cash balance ending July 31st, 2013 is $4,601,610. And as always, we will continue any questions you may have, either now or later.
Questions, council? Thank you, Mr. Seifert. We appreciate the information, the updates that you provide us through the dashboard and the website. And we would urge you, if you have interest in keeping up with what's going on with the city financially, you can do so by visiting our website. You'll find a wealth of information there in regards to the operations of the city, including that information in regards to our physical stability. With that, then, we'll move on to a petitioner. From time to time, we have petitioners that come before City Council, an opportunity for us to be made aware of items or issues that are relevant to our community, and in this case, to our county as well, too. We are pleased to have with us this evening from Beyond Differences Youth Coordinators, Asia Sheffield and Amber Guy, who have come this evening to address council in regards to a proposed county-wide youth commission. Ms. Sheffield and Ms. Guy, are you with us this evening? Well, maybe just running a bit late, so what we will do is go ahead. I want to jump over, council, if you will allow me to pass by real quickly the Smith and Smurf annual report card. I know that some of y'all are eagerly awaiting that, but what we will do, if you will allow me, is to make a special recognition, and would like to do that. If I could, I'd like to get First Sergeant Martin Lane Bowen with the South Carolina Army National Guard to come up and join me. And I'd like to ask Commander Preston Johnson with the DAV Chapter 39 if he'd come as well too. I think we both have something that we would like to present this evening, and we appreciate you joining us. I have a proclamation that I'd like to present to tonight to Master First Sergeant Martin L. Bowen for his support of our country, veterans, and the city of Greer. The proclamation reads as such: whereas Master Sergeant First Sergeant Martin L. Bowen joined the South Carolina Army National Guard in 1980 and has dedicated more than 3 decades of meritorious service to our state and nation, is preparing for a well-earned retirement. And whereas the Oconee native has been awarded 19 decorations and badges, including the Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, and the South Carolina Governor's Citation Ribbon. And whereas since his appointment to the Greer National Guard Armory in 1999, he has been an invaluable resource to the city of Greer and numerous local groups, giving up his free time to support charitable and non-profit organizations. And whereas he has selflessly supported the Veterans Memorial Park, providing material support and personnel for ceremonies hosted by the Disabled Veterans, American Veterans Chapter 39, as well as maintaining the military equipment on display in the park. Whereas he has been at the forefront of supporting the city's Greer Freedom Blast celebration and its stated mission of honoring both active military and distinguished veterans, volunteering military vehicles and equipment for display to the public, as well as personnel to help make the celebration the premier event of its kind in the upstate. And whereas he brought together his love of community and service to country in 2012 by helping to coordinate Operation Students for Soldiers, a City of Greer Parks and Recreation event through which children in the Creative Advancement Learning Center designed and created Thanksgiving cards for local National Guard soldiers deployed overseas. Now therefore, Greer City Council honors Master Sergeant Martin L. Bowen for defending our nation, supporting our veterans and community activities, and for serving as true ambassadors for the South Carolina Army National Guard. We wish him all our best in retirement from the city of Greer. Please join me in giving a round of applause to Master Sergeant Martin L. Bowen. It's been indeed a pleasure helping the city of Greer out for these many years. It's been a team effort from the unit out here at Greer, Plus 53rd. I can't do it by myself, and I tell these guys out there, a lot. Without them, we can't do what we do with both the county and the nation and the state. So it's a team effort, and I may have to show up in September during the drill and let them know what you guys have done and giving this to me. I appreciate it. But it's been a pleasure. Also, the folks here at the city of Greer that I tell, it's a great team you got. It's a great team. They work well together. Sometimes they worry at the last hour, but they always show up. Maybe they just worried for nothing. But it's been indeed a pleasure, and I thank you again, okay? I believe the general's got something to say. Put that general
You know, Mark Kleiner here, I don't know why I called him that. I used to work with a guy with that same name. First Sergeant Bowen has been an inspiration to us and the Disabled American Veterans in that I don't care what time of day or night it was, if I called him, we had the information we wanted soonest. And he's always been there with us regardless of what we were doing. If I had a ceremony in the park and I wanted to impress the folks in Greer and said, could you bring me some vehicles? And some of these other folks show up with them, and we've always been working together like that, and we certainly appreciate your efforts and what you've done for us. I have a little certificate of appreciation. It's awarded to First Sergeant Martin L. Bowen in recognition of your dedication to the disabled American veterans and your willingness to share your time and resources with Disabled American Veterans Chapter number 39 by providing vehicles and personnel for ceremonies at the Veterans Park and in all Freedom Blast celebrations, by helping us to distribute toys at Christmas. Nobody knew about that, did it? All of which I believe to have been above and beyond the call of duty for him, and he was always there. And on that note, we appreciate you, sir. I salute you.
These are true veterans right here. I want y'all to know that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I would think a soldier would say that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Council, as promised, we wouldn't dare leave you out of the Smith and Smurf report, and so with that, I will turn it over to Fire Chief Chris Harper.
I'm so glad to see the look of anticipation on your face.
That's because you know how to clear a room, Chief.
That's right. I do have that authority. I do have that. So moving right along, as you know, the Schmidt, of course, is our workers' comp carrier, and we're going to talk about our report card for 2012. A little bit of our loss history. This past year we had 22 claims, a total incurred loss of $37,364, a little bit loss ratio of 13.55%, and our experience modifier, which if you remember, is composed of our last 3 years of losses, was a 0.78. Anything under a 1 is always good. Loss by size, a dollar amount. Again, we had most of our losses were under $500. We had one loss in the $10,000 to $25,000 range. Total number by claims, you can see our claims have kind of gone back and forth from a low of 9 in 2010 to a high of 28 in 2009. Again, with our loss history, it's kind of gone back with the low number of claims usually is a low number of losses. And you can see how claims were kind of high last year, 2011, and we dropped back down this year. 2011 had one shoulder claim and one knee claim that kind of drove the cost up. Nature by injuries, most of our injuries are the lacerations. You'll see that we in strains, and strains also can include knee-related problems. That's where our biggest loss came in this year. 2012, excuse me. Again, losses by cause of injury, 7 of them were strains or injury in performance of their work-related duties. Again, just to kind of reiterate, the highest claim is multiple body parts. We had some head injuries in hands, knees. We had three claims involving knees. Claims by department, The police department had the highest number of claims, followed by Parks and Recs, and then by the fire department. However, by dollar amount, the Parks and Recreation had the largest dollar amount claim, and that was just simply due to $1 million. Basically $1 million. Again, number of claims by length of employment. Most of our employees that are having claims are in the 3 to 6 year range. The age of our employees is like a dead heat between 23 to 37 years. The claim reporting lag time, I'm very pleased. Our average is 1.9 days once we receive a claim. Our Human Resources Department turns it into our carrier within 1.9 days. The pool claim average is 3.2 days. This is very good. Then again, the chart below just shows the claim occurrence reporting lag time is under how do you have 0.6 of a day? I don't know, but that's what the chart shows. Medical only, lost time, and notice only. A lost time accident claim occurs when an injured employee is unable to work for more than 7 days. Costs associated with lost time claims include medical, indemnity, compensation, and other costs associated with the claim, such as legal fees. We only had one lost time claim accident. We had 21 medical only. That's where they received some sort of, could have been simple as a Band-Aid or a stitch, and they came back to work. And notice only is simply when an employee does something, let's say it may step the wrong way and they turn their ankle, and they just, instead, I'm okay, but in case something comes out of it, I want to let you know. And we encourage employees to fill out notice only forms in case something does occur down the road. The total number of claims per 100 full-time equivalent employees, we're a little bit above the average. We're 11.5 claims per 100 full-time employees, and the pool average is 7.8. Our claim cost, though, is under the pool average. So our claim cost is 195 per 100 full-time equivalents, where the pool average is 555.
Chief, do you think that has anything to do with the reporting that you just described in terms of pre-reporting every, and then
the claims cost?
No, the number of claims.
Oh, the number of claims. Yes, it does. I mean, the notice only does not
Doesn't
factor into a claim.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I'm proud to let you know that we met all our minimum loss control guidelines set forth. We did receive a reduction in premium by meeting the guidelines. We had 100% on those. Our premium breakdown from the Schmidt side, our manual premium was $272,222 for 2013. This is our new premium. Our experience modifier, 0.998. Again, it's factored in for our last 3 years of losses. So you can see an increase in our experience modifier. We're still under the 1. However, we need to take steps to try to reduce those losses to where we can get our experience modifier back down, and of course the benefit to that. One of the things that we implemented from the safety committee standpoint this past year was a running log of lost time accidents, and we have gone over 317 days without a lost time accident. We're as of last Friday. So employees have really got into it, and the factor being that it's there. When they check in the morning on the time clock, first thing they see is a notice up there of how many days we've gone without a lost time accident. and it's put on the forefront daily. And it's also factors into not only is it reducing our experience modifier and our premiums in the future, the benefit of that, but it also, by reducing that, it can allows the city to continue the safety bonus program that we do every day. So we've been pretty pleased with the status of our lost time accidents and employees really getting behind that. And as you may or may not know, there is a luncheon Friday at noon at the Cannon Center, and we're awarding our employees. We're having fud rubbers, so feel free to come on out. We're going to award our employees for going over 280 days. That was our good next goal, so we're having a nice dinner for that. But getting back to the premium here, the modified premium was $271,678 between our guidelines adjustment, our deductible credit, and our membership credit. The final premium for our workers' comp, our Schmidt, was $178,318. The participation credit, the member pool give $2 million back to the pool this year. $2 million to be given back to the members in the pool, and our share came to $45,233, which brings our final premium for 2013 down to $133,085. Any questions on that? We are concerned from a safety standpoint in accident. That's why we have implemented the lost time, and we kind of have seen that experience modifier go up. And but it's mainly been to one or two, either back injury, a knee, a shoulder, major type operations that have happened.
Chris, you may want to mention as well the new safety training program that we've implemented as well to support trying to get these numbers down.
That's true. Our provider through the Municipal Association has provided online training, and we have what has been a problem in some of the past where some departments haven't been able to get safety training, making it administrative levels and stuff. You know, fire departments and police have always done safety-related training because of the occupation. But now, through Municipal Association, we have been able to get online safety training that is available to all our employees. And all our employees, full-time and part-time, are required at a minimum to do one course online each quarter. We're able to assign that to the employee. We're able to go in and see that the employee has taken and completed and passed. There is testing. It's not just go online and watch it and then get done. There is testing, and you have to pass it. And it has worked real well. I mean, a lot of our employees have taken multiple classes online that have even been assigned by their supervisor in addition to the mandatory classes, and have taken classes on their own, because the gamut is there. There's classes you can take year-round. There's classes that are just offered on a quarterly level also. It's been a great program, and I think we're the biggest user of it through the Municipal Association.
Right. Council, questions? Comments?
And then again, just to kind of reiterate how our experience modifier is calculated, you basically take 2009, 10, and 11, go into the losses, go into figuring our premium for 2013. Next year it'll be 10, 11, and 12. We'll go into it, and you can see from the formulas there that each our losses are capped at $75,000, and the unmodified premiums, the formula, you can see how we came down to the 0.998. It is, I'll tell you again, and I can't reiterate enough, Safety Committee is very concerned and pushing everywhere we can to lower, to get back down to where we were in some of the 0.50, 0.55 experience modifiers. But we've got to cut out some of those large claims in order to do that. And we're aware of that, and we're pushing. And to go 317 days without a lost time accident is a pretty good record. And we're going to keep pushing that. We have a lost time accident. We're not going to stop recognizing it. We're going to start the clock over and keep pushing for that next year. Any questions?
Thank you.
Got one more. Oh, okay. Thank you. SMRF, of course, is our South Carolina Municipal Insurance and Risk Financing Fund. It's our lines of liability insurance. Property claim summary, we had a total of 3 claims in 2012, and total incurred loss of $18,589, and a premium of $58,038, and loss ratio of 32.03%. Our property claims have kind of gone up and down over the years. 2007, 2, 3. We had at least 2 claims every year. The costs have gone up and down also too. You can see from the chart here, to a high of $156,776 in 2010, and that was the chiller for this facility, that the problem we had with the chiller. Our automobile physical damage claims, we had a total of 11 claims, total incurred loss of $22,846. Our premium was $28,188, so our loss ratio was 81.05%. Again, we have stayed anywhere from a low of 7 to a high of 12 incidents since 2007. The dollar amount has, last year was our highest dollar amount of $22,846, and back in 2007 we actually had a 0 automobile claims. Some of the causes of these claims, again, is a rear-ended other vehicle, hit stationary object, debris falling off the vehicle, unattended rollaway vehicle was unattended and rolled, and we had 2 hail damage claims. Total auto physical damage claims by departments. The police department had the highest number of claims, followed by Parks, Recs, and Public Services. The dollar amount, the police department again had the highest dollar amount of claims, over $20,000, and both Parks and Recs had very small amounts. The automobile liability claims summary, again, we had 7 claims, total incurred loss of $17,992, a premium of $39,783, and a loss ratio of 45.22%. An experience modifier of 0.51. Very good on our experience modifier there. The claims by year, again, anywhere from 5 to a low of 5 to a high of 12 in 2008. We had 7 this past year. Cost, our total cost, again, our high was $17,992 this past year, to a low of $2,400, $2,460 in 2007. Again, hit parked car, hit vehicle at intersection, traffic, back into other vehicle, insured, hit other during a lane change, and debris falling off vehicles. Again, the automobile liability claims by department, the police had the biggest number with 6. The total automobile claims cost by department, again, our police department had the biggest claims there. Of course, they have the most vehicles on the road in our fleet. General liability claims, we had a total of 9 claims this past year. Incurred costs of $99,500, premium of $35,728, a loss ratio of 26.59, and an experience modifier of 0.81. The claims have gone from a low of 2 in 2008 to a high of 9 in both 2011 and 2012. The cost of our general liability claims, excuse me, a low of 0 to a high of $56,757 in 2009. Our general liability claims for this past year, slip and fall and uneven surfaces sidewalk, we had 2 claims amounting to $4,500. Faulty roadways, holes, etc., 4. Another faulty roadway, all others, 1, and playground equipment, 2. $5,000. I'm very glad to see that council did put money in the budget this year for our sidewalk repair, because I know you're all aware that sidewalk claims have been, not only in our municipality, but other municipalities have been coming forward since the ruling that was made this past 2 years ago. Of course, the general causes of these losses were slips and falls, outside surfaces, uneven surfaces, again, faulty roadway, flying objects. Our law enforcement liability claims, we had 0, which is very good this past year, and a premium of $30,770. That's we're down from 3 from the past year. Public officials liabilities claim, we only had 1 claim, no incurred loss, and a premium of $18,813. Again, experience modifier 0.81. We went from usually our only highest has ever been 1, so since 2007. And our biggest loss was in 2007 at $20,623. Total lines of coverage, we had a total of 31 claims, which 4 are still open. A total incurred loss of $68,926, and our premium was $211,319, and a loss ratio of 32.62. Our claims by years have stayed right there around the 27 to 31 range. Our cost our high year was $258,167 for all our claims lost in 2010. Again, half of that was the chiller. Our claim reporting, our 2011 claim, since 2011, a 2011 claimant to a member claim reporting lag time, the city of Greer was 48.5 days. The pool related claim reporting average is 7.3 days. The problem here is that on some of these claims for like a sidewalk damage, it may be 2-3 months before somebody files a claim with the city, and that's why the lag time is so long. You know, we had one case it was over 6 months, I believe I'm correct, before the claim was filed. But our claim reporting lag time average is 10.4 days, and then we report it to SMRT, and the pool average is 10.7. Our percent of vehicles with an auto claim in 2012 were a little bit above the pool average. We were at 10.65 versus the pool average of 9.18. Our claims cost per vehicle is a little bit higher than the pool average, $242 per vehicle versus $217. Again, we met all the guidelines assessment, 100% on that. In our breakdown for 2013, all our liability coverages, except the auto liability, are grouped together. And under the auto liability, our experience modifier is a 0.52. However, if you'll notice that all the general liability, the law enforcement liability, and public officials liability has an experience modifier of 1.02. So there isn't a premium increase instead of a decrease for that factor. But you can see the breakdown there. The total modified lines, unmodified premium $205,863. The modified premium is $164,017. Our guidelines credit adjustment is $2,390. A final premium of $161,627. And then the unmodified lines, you can see that the down to $103,764. Our totals, again, for the total unmodified premiums are $309,627. The modified is $267,781, with a reduction of $2,300 for the $2,390 for the membership credit, and then that brings it down to $268,391. Again, the membership credit, the deductible credit, the participation credit, which the pool also put money back into, giving back to the members in the pool. Our excess liability charges and our final premium, as you can see, comes out to $138,952. Again, a little breakdown of how the premiums, the experience modifier is figured up, and again, it's same with Smith. It's based on 2009, 10, and 11. You can see that the auto liability stayed for 2013 0.52, and again, our all other lines come in at 1.02. Questions?
Council?
Chris, would you also mention what we are doing on the automobile liability side concerning particularly the accidents within the police department and the emphasis that's being placed there?
Very much so. The police department has been very proactive with the number of auto claims that they've had. They have required all their people to take online safety training. They actually have sent at least 2 people, I think 2, maybe 3, to be instructors in defensive driving courses. And they're going to come back and teach defensive driving to the members of the police department again, and open it up to other city departments to utilize too. They've been very concerned and very proactive, and are addressing the issues. Some of the issues distractions. You've got a radio in a police car, you've got mobile data terminals in a police car, lights and sirens. You're trying to do all this and multitask and respond to a call and look both ways at intersections and all at the same time. But that being said, Chief Reynolds has been, and his staff have been very concerned, and have met with safety committee and Mr. Greer and myself, and very proactive in trying to address the problems through training, and I think they're on the right track. Other questions?
Chief, what do most of from a liability perspective, what do most of these sidewalk claims look like?
Value of the claim, or what
No, I
happens?
saw that. I'm asking, like, how are they?
Trip and falls.
That's all it is?
Trip and
Most
falls.
of them, yes, sir. They're uneven, where you have anything from possible causes of it might. Well, we can start on this. It's not even our sidewalk in some cases, but yet the claim is brought against the city. It's on the state road, or whatever, and roots have come through a tree and buckled up the sidewalk. And your unevenness in the sidewalk, people trip, fall on, and that's the bulk of it.
Chief, we certainly appreciate the work of the safety committee, and hope you'll pass that along to them. We thank you as well too for, I think you hit the nail on the head, taking a more proactive or a proactive approach to dealing with these issues. When you start thinking about the kinds of numbers that we've just looked at tonight, it's an important savings and an important part of who we are and what we do. And while the report may be not all that tantalizing every year, we certainly couldn't do without it, and we appreciate all the work that y'all put in that regard. So we thank you.
Thank you, sir. little something for you, Mr. Demme, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
I know you want to do that.
I enjoyed it this year. You did a good job. Thank you.
I don't think that I've seen our petitioners come in. Ms. Sheffield or Ms. Guy, are you with us this evening? Appears that they've been unable to make it, so with that, then we'll move to the administrator's report. Mr. Greer.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. A number of items that I need to bring to your attention tonight. One is to make you aware that we are partnering with Greer CPW for some work that's going to be taking place at our old public works site, the recycling center. So if you have some inquiry of folks what's going on there, some new sewer line is being installed in that area. It's going to require some of the equipment there to be temporarily relocated, so there could be the possibility that the recycling center itself is shifted over for a temporary basis. So if either yourself, if you're in there, or you have constituents that are there and they're wondering a little bit about what's going on, again, we're partnering with CPW for the installation of some new sewer pipe through that area there. So you'll see what's taking place. There's a couple of things that that are on your agenda that you've asked us to take a look at, and we are finalizing our work on those, and we're anticipating bringing those to you at your next meeting. One of those is the banner policy concerning the hanging of event banners and on our decorative poles downtown. That's something that we've spent some time working with both our recreation department. Mr. Sell's been working with them on that, and we have that policy completed, doing the final review on that, and expecting to have that in your package at your next meeting for your consideration. Also, we are intending to bring to you at your next meeting, because we've had some inquiry about it and want to make sure you knew where we were on this, and that's involving the truck traffic ordinance relative to the South Carolina Inland Port. As we've been advised previously, the South Carolina Department of Transportation is allowing us to do no truck, no through truck, prohibited areas within the city-owned state highways. We requested that when we were made aware of the impact that the inland port would have, particularly to our downtown area. Mr. Holloman has been working on that. We've been reviewing that with SCDOT, and we are anticipating having that for you at your next meeting in a couple of weeks as well. And then once that is approved, we will then begin working with DOT to post those no truck routes and the alternate truck routes, again relative to the opening of the South Carolina Inland Port. There are a couple of things that are happening, several things in fact that are happening. I want to make sure that you are aware, and we hope that you'll be able to join our partners over at the Partnership for Tomorrow. They are celebrating their annual meeting. That will be taking place tomorrow evening. That reception is being held here at City Hall in our lobby area. It begins at 4 o'clock. You should have received information about that. But if you've not indicated that you can attend and your schedule now allows you to do so, please just let me know tonight, and we'll make sure those folks are aware of that. But we continue a very strong partnership between the city and the other investors with the Partnership for Tomorrow, and this is an opportunity that they have annually to get together to give a brief update of their activity, a report card, and recognize some of the work of the Partnership for Tomorrow. As Chief Harvey indicated earlier, we do have the opportunity. This is not our safety breakfast that we do annually. We will continue to do that on a regular basis, but we have a special program that we'll be doing this Friday. It's a luncheon program. We did a small little pizza luncheon when we reached our first threshold for no lost time accidents. We indicated then if we could go an additional 180 days, getting us to the 270 mark, we then would step it up a little bit, and we've now reached that threshold. So we will be doing a catered hamburger hot dog luncheon for our employees this Friday at noon. That'll be at the Cannon Center. Again, we hope that your schedule will allow you to join us as we recognize the achievement of our employees reaching that milestone as well. We will be closed Labor Day for our general operations offices. Of course, all public safety operations will continue on a normal schedule, but of particular interest to our constituents, our garbage collection will be delayed one day next week. So while offices are closed on Monday, garbage curbside service will be delayed one day. So if Monday is your normal day, it'll be picked up on Tuesday. If Tuesday is your normal day, it'll be picked up on Wednesday, and therefore down the week as that would fall out. So again, we want to make sure we will be publicizing that. There'll be information on our TV channel, our website, and we'll be releasing information to the media on that as well. Municipal Association's Regional Advocacy Meeting is next Wednesday. That's the 4th. That's being held over in Simpsonville. There are a couple of us that are registered for that. If your plans will allow you to attend that. It's an 11 o'clock event in Simpsonville, runs right through lunchtime, and then they finish that up. Usually a couple of hours kind of in and out, but they are doing, I believe, 11 of those statewide, and the closest one to us is being held in Simpsonville, again, next Wednesday. If you'd like to attend, please let me know. We'll make sure that we get you registered for that meeting as well. Chamber First Friday event takes place next Friday. That will be on the 6th. If you would like for us to assist you in reservations for that event, we are a facility sponsor of that event. Always nice when we can have members of council join us for that as well. So if you'd like for us to assist, please let us know. Health and Benefits Fair is being held on September the 19th. Again, you should be receiving some email communication about that. It's a little further out, but it's a busy day for us. All of our employees come in. That's when we do our flu shots, and we do our blood screens, we do our blood pressure checks. We give education to our employees, as well as we have information concerning our health insurance plan. October for us is our open enrollment period, so we do this in preparation for open enrollment on our insurance plan, and we certainly want to make sure you have that on your calendar. That is a Thursday, starts at 7:30 in the morning, and that's on the 19th of September. We have been invited through the Greer Development Corporation to participate with a business appreciation luncheon that they're having for the businesses out of the Gateway International Business Park. Again, you should have received some information on that, and that's the same afternoon of the health fair. So come in early, get your blood work done, make sure you're good and healthy, and go out and have a barbecue lunch that afternoon. But we're very thankful to our good partners over at Greer Development Corporation for including us as part of that event. All of the activities and events are featured on Greer TV, so please, whether it's through the AT&T or Charter service, make sure you're looking at our cable channel. It has been recently revamped. There's some new features that have been placed onto that cable channel just this past week. You'll notice some of those. We always preview it prior to this meeting as well. And of course, all of that information is also made available and can be found on our website. So a lot going on, many things for the calendar. It's a busy time for us as we're coming to the end of the summer and approaching the fall months, but we're excited about the activity that's taking place there. For me personally, I have no items for executive session to request of council this evening, so if there would be any, it would be at the direction of council, not by staff. That concludes my report, and certainly available if you have any questions.
Council?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, then, we'll move to items of old business, the only one of which this evening is a discussion in regards to the Michelin Development Fund. As you're aware, we got preliminary information last week from Mr. John Tully and Alan Smith, who have joined us again this evening in regards to the program and how it works, and have had an opportunity to consider that. And I know that those gentlemen have worked closely with the administrator in regards to the development of a plan that we'll entertain more information about this evening. Then.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to provide some additional information. At Council's direction, in executive session at our last meeting, I provided you some information about how, if this is the interest of Council and you would like to move forward, what possibly a contract with the Michelin Development Corporation would look like. Had an opportunity to meet individually, both with Mr. Smith and with Mr. Tully, to look at how that partnership would be forged. What I would ask of you this evening is that if it is your decision, if it's your desire that this is something that we would like to move forward with, then it would be appropriate for us then to literally hammer out the details of that contractual agreement. But it's basically pretty simple. And they've been extremely cooperative in meeting our needs. And I wanted to take just a moment to kind of explain how the city would be involved if it's council's decision for us to be involved in this program. As was explained to us previously, it's a loan program. It is not a grant program. They are loans that can be made available up to a maximum of $50,000. Those loans are to assist with startup business or for expansion of existing businesses. And there's a very strict criteria and guidelines that go along with that. That thank goodness we aren't involved in that side of it. There are a group of professionals that head up this through a steering committee. There are 13 members of the steering committee. Mr. Tully obviously is a member of that group. It consists of upstate entrepreneurs, small business development organizations, folks whose mission and purpose and expertise is in helping small business. They are a resource of evaluating those applications, and they are the group that ultimately would approve or disapprove a loan application. The way that our agreement would work in principle is that we would provide match funding. I would propose to you that we would look at ours being some type of a pace setter, some type of a challenge grant, possibly back to the greater Greer community, to our businesses within the city, that the dollar amount that we would provide in the loan, I think I did say grant, that we would say in the loan program, remember that those are matched. And that's the real gem in this arrangement, is the agreement that the Chamber of Commerce was able to work out with Michelin Development Group, and Michelin Development Group has agreed to, is that the dollar amounts that are raised in this community are then matched by them. So if we're making available to our community, the request was $100,000. If you choose to fund at $100,000 level, then that $100,000 is then matched. And we now have a pool available in the community of $200,000 that's made available. And all the criteria is established and works the same way. The caveat for us is, because we're using public funds, is that we cannot put those funds at risk. And they have agreed that through a memorandum of understanding, through a contractual agreement with us, that guarantee could be made, that we would not have our funds at risk. We were also inquired of whether or not our funds could be distributed as loans were approved. And it's been indicated that we would be able to do that as well. So that is the structure of an agreement that we would move toward, is that there would be a cap from the city's perspective. It would go toward a match. We would then hope that additional funds are raised within the Greer community as well. How you may want to do that as a challenge, again, that's open for discussion on how you would like to structure that, but we certainly would see it as a pace setter type program, with us taking the lead and moving out on this program. We would then be able to recall our funds if we need to. If there's a situation that we need to terminate our agreement, then at the termination of that agreement, funds that the city has made available for the loan program are returned to the city. We have the ability to structure this in a number of ways. One, it could be a gift that we are providing to their corporation to be made available for loans, with an agreement that gift would be returned to us at such time that the agreement is terminated. Or there's the possibility that we could enter into a promissory note arrangement, that we would provide those dollars to the corporation on a promissory note. That promissory note is then recorded for us. The two main differences there is how it affects our asset allocation for the city. In the first, we're doing a disbursement of funds. In the second, we're doing an allocation change, but it does not change our net assets. And I talked with you briefly about that a couple of weeks ago as well. So if this is in theory, if this is a program that you support and would like to move forward with, I'm very comfortable that we can structure a memorandum of understanding, a contractual agreement to be able to meet that. If that is your desire, then I would ask of you that your action tonight would be to authorize the city administrator, and through agreement by signature from the mayor, that we would enter into that agreement to allow us to work out those terms that we've explained. But what we do, we've got to get the lawyers to look at it and got to get ours and theirs to take a look at that. And there will be a little bit of language change that takes place with that. But we are prepared to do that if that's your desire, or certainly to take a look at it from any other perspective that you may have. Again, I've met with both groups. They are here this evening. They are certainly available to answer questions that you may have concerning the program, how we may be involved in the program, issues involved, how their program works. But I wanted to brief you on my meeting with them and what we've been able to get to, at least to this point. Mayor?
Thank you, sir. Council, as we contemplate moving forward in regards to both the request and the information that we received tonight, I think it appropriate that in light of the fact that action will be required at some point in time for the furtherance of the discussion this evening, that we entertain a motion that the city administrator be allowed to continue negotiations in regards to a memorandum of understanding or an agreement with the Mission and Development Fund, and that could be then in turn brought back to council, and signature of the mayor could be applied to that, and I will leave it up to whoever makes the motion to indicate a funding amount for the purpose of discussion, and then we will open up the floor for questions either of the administrator, or we do have Mr. Tully and Mr. Smith with us this evening. Do I hear a motion in regards to that?
So motion.
All right, you do have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The floor is open for discussion in regards to the program.
For clarification, in the amount of?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's 100,000.
Okay, okay. That's what I want to clarify. In the amount of 100,000.
So we do have a motion to proceed, and the motion would be for the city's match to be at $100,000. The floor is now open for we have. Ask for a second. We got a second. Do we have a second in that regard?
Second.
We got a second. We do indeed. All right. Floor is open for discussion then of Mr. Riggers or Mr. Tully. If we have questions, you may need to join us at the podium in just a minute. So, council.
Well, I was definitely in support of it. The only concern I had, I think we spoke about a few other financial obligations that may come up. So that would be my only hindrance.
Yeah, by all means. I mean, what certainly will happen is that if we are committing $100,000 of city resources, those are $100,000 that we could not use for other purposes while those are committed. Again, whether or not we would have that obligation early or a little bit later, what I do think part of the advantage that we have is that we have the ability to disperse the funds as loans would be made. But nonetheless, if we make a $100,000 commitment, we're going to restrict that $100,000. So, I mean, we would, one, I can assure, we're never going to get down to $100,000, but those dollars would have to be restricted. Never say never. You're right. We have dipped below $100,000. It's not that we haven't before.
These funds, we're guaranteed that we would never lose this money.
That is the stipulation. My concern all along is that because it is a loan program, is that the risk of the loan needed to be assumed by some other means. Our intent is to improve the pool, the available funds that are there that are made available. Obviously, in making a loan, there is risk. And I would have to ask Mr. Tully to speak to how that would, how they would have to manage that risk. But what they have agreed is that that risk would not fall on our commitment for the match, that we would not be at risk on the loans.
And you may not know the answer to this, but say we loaned out $50,000 of our dollars and that defaulted. Okay, they make us whole, but they're still willing to match that 50,000 again. I mean, you know, you're going to have some losers, some bad ones at some point, but that doesn't diminish their commitment to match whatever money we're willing to.
Well, that's a good question, and I would have to defer it to them, because I don't think it's appropriate for me to speak to what their long-term commitment would be.
It is a very good question. I think part of the detail would be us trying to figure out how that would work, because we're willing to assume the risk up to the $100,000 that we're matching, but if a loan defaulted, we couldn't keep putting the same money back in over and over again. That would be something that would be difficult for us to agree to.
So in essence, if we committed to 100,000 and a few years down the road we had 100,000 in defaulted loans, that's the end of our participation.
Right, but keep in mind there's a third piece to this. The city's money is being used to attract private money that's also going to go into this pot.
Sure.
So we're hoping that if we're in for 100,000, the city is, and we are able to attract another 100,000, that would keep the program going. We'd also have to determine, based on the amount of money we actually have, what the size of the loans would be. In our current program, we have $50,000 maximums, but we also have $2+ million in the program. So we might want to adjust that and say for the loans that are earmarked strictly for Greater Greer, that those loans are only $25,000 or $10,000, whatever. Those are some of the details that Mr. Drigger and I and Mr. Smith would work out what the program actually looks like based on what funds we have available.
If you raised an additional, say, 50,000 in private money, how do you determine whose money is loaned out? Is it the city's money? Is it the private money?
It would be equal. It would be, if we were doing a $30,000 loan, it would be 10, 10, and 10. That we'd work it that way.
So the private money is going to be guaranteed too?
No. No, the private money would be sharing the same risk that Michelin Development is sharing. The only money that is not at risk is the city money because it's public funds.
It was the one stipulation we met the very first time that we said we cannot entertain even considering this if we were to put public funds at risk. And to Mr. Tully's credit, he recognized that immediately and said we can work with you to make sure that those are not at risk. We're not going to make money on our money. We don't make much money on our money now. But you know, we're certainly not going to make money. But we've been able to address the issue of the risk, and that's a statutory issue for us. You know, the law doesn't allow us to put those dollars at risk. So for us to even consider participating, we had to be able to meet that requirement. And again, to Mr. Tully's credit, the first response could have been, that's just not how it works, and we can't use that as match to try to attract other dollars here in the community. His immediate response was, I understand, and I believe that we can work around that.
And this program, which we would be contributing to, is only going to be open to city businesses.
Correct. Our dollars are restricted to within the municipal limits of the city of Greer. And of course, long term. I mean, why? I mean, I'm not absolutely sure we've addressed. You know, why? Well, because there's the opportunity for entrepreneurs, startup businesses to get their foot in the door and get on the ground and have a successful business. And if we've got that, if we can make that happen, then we're creating tax base within our own community using the resources that we already have. We use incentives in a lot of different ways in attracting business to our community. This is another tool in the toolbox.
I think what makes it very attractive too is that it all filters through a group of very business savvy individuals who can really fill out these potential companies and to see the trajectory and where they're headed and providing them that support. I think that's what makes it very attractive to me, is that you just don't, pat them on the tail and say, go get them. You're there and you're kind of providing some guidance and maybe even a little bit of inspiration. And clearly, if you're willing to partner with us and we're really just leveraging our money because, we can't put the money
That's
at
right.
risk. So
That's correct.
you really believe this program is going to be successful. And that's what makes it very attractive to me.
Thank you. And you bring up a very good point. We're not about handing people checks and 1 year later checking on them to see how they're doing. We do a lot of upfront support before we ever give them a loan. We require them to go through business basics classes, and we do an evaluation of their financial literacy. Do they understand how to run a business? We make sure they have some accounting system, QuickBooks, whatever. We don't want them doing their bookkeeping on the back of a napkin when they're having dinner, trying to figure out if they have enough money to make payroll next week. We try and make sure that they have everything in place to help them be successful. Obviously, not every business is going to be successful. We all know that. But we try and do as much up front and continually monitoring them to make sure they're successful. We also assign every loan recipient a mentor to work with them so that they have somebody to go to if they have a question or they get into some trouble or they're not sure about how to address something. They have a go-to person that they can pick up the phone and call and bounce things off of.
I think that's
And
one
they
of the
will
best-
need that.
Yes,
They will need
Well, that's
that.
what I think that's one of the best parts of the program is that they do provide a mentor, that you just don't give them the money and just say go, but they do provide, that leadership that's needed at that time when somebody's starting a business. It's nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of and,
Absolutely. We hear that all the time from business owners.
Now, how do we track, the successes, like for the money that we put up?
Well,
how do we keep track of the successes?
Well, I think certainly one way is that we will know those businesses that have been provided the loan. While we would not be disclosing that information, it certainly would be something that we would see their success. A business here in the city is going to report to us their sales information because they're going to have to apply for a city business license. So we've got probably one of the better ways of monitoring their success long term than anyone else, simply because they have some reporting requirements through the business license requirement for us. We know that there's risk here, and that was one of the things that when we met last week that we certainly recognized, because the target group for this loan are those folks that may have a little difficulty getting their loan through a traditional means. So there's already risk that's there. But there's a great track record that's there. While there's risk, if we can participate and leverage and not have that risk assumed on our side, there's opportunity for it to be an incubator for startup new businesses. And long term for us, we would hope to have a whole list of folks that says this is how I got started, and I now have 2 employees, 5 employees, 7 employees. I've got a business located on Wade Hampton Boulevard, downtown Greer, Buncombe, wherever it may be, but they're in our community and they're being successful.
And within our program, we do track how our clients are doing, and we have certain criteria that we look at, and we would certainly track the Greer clients separately, but it would be the same information, but we could certainly make high-level information available without disclosing anything that interfered with anybody's privacy or anything like that. So we would be able to give you some statistics that were needed at any given point.
Do they have a time period that they have to start paying that loan back? I mean, once you loan the money to the business itself, and
Yes.
that gets set up, and then you have a...
What we do is the day we sign a loan agreement with our banking partner, we give the client 90 days to take the full amount that's been approved, and they pay interest only on the part they borrow. At the end of that 90 days, we give them another 90 days of interest only on the full amount. So it's 6 months interest only, then the term begins, and then the principal kicks in. So a 5-year loan is really 5.5 years because of the first 6 months is interest only.
Who handles, your organization handles all the administration and paperwork? I mean, all we would do is refer people to them if we had an
Correct.
inquiry?
Yeah, we have a loan application, we do require a business plan. We do all the initial vetting, and then whenever we have our steering committee meetings, we send all that information out a week ahead of time so our steering committee can review all that, and they come to our meeting to discuss each individual client's application. We also require the clients whose applications are being reviewed to actually come to the meeting and do a very brief presentation, and then the rest of the allotted time is for Q&A with our steering committee, so they can get direct answers from the client as to concerns or clarifications, whatever the case may be, on the application of the business plan.
So the payments actually go to your organization,
No,
correct?
they
You
go
have
to our
bookkeeping?
banking partner.
Okay.
Yeah, the loan is directly with the bank.
Uh-huh.
We're securing the loan.
Okay, I see, okay.
We're not allowed to loan money directly, so that's why we do it through a
I see,
banking partner.
okay.
And in this program, it's South Carolina Bank and Trust.
I absolutely support the program. I think it's innovative. I think it's a good way for us to demonstrate to our business community that we care about them and that we want them to be successful. And it doesn't place us truly in a position of picking winners and losers per se. I mean, this is a kind of a level footing for all those who want to make an application, to an organization and get a loan and start a business or enable a business to grow. And I appreciate the efforts of the Chamber and others that have worked hard to put this together. I think it goes above and beyond offering simply rent to somebody or just startup cash or whatever. It's a model of sustainability that I think is going to serve our community well for a long time. And this council actually has a precedent for this model. 20 years or more ago, we were one of the few councils that said we wanted to create a revolving fund with our Greenville County redevelopment funds, and now have a very sustainable model in that regard that I don't know if there is another community around here that has that, and that was a bold move for them to take, and it has served this community well, and I think this is a similar opportunity for us to create a model to offer funding for possibly generations for our community, and I would endorse it fully. Others?
I think it's a win-win, and I've always been a strong supporter of public-private partnerships, and I think that this is an excellent, opportunity of public-private partnership, and then it's a win-win also for taxpayers, one, like you said, that can be tracked, that can pull it out and track what's happening in Greer without giving away, information that doesn't need to be put out there. So I think it's an outstanding opportunity.
Others? Well, the motion is for us to participate in the Michelin Development Program at a level of $100,000. Outline has been set, a memorandum of understanding or a agreement between us and the development fund will be hammered out by the administrator and representatives for the Michelin Development Fund in Chamber, and that will if that meets your approval, we will move forward. Motion and a second is on the floor. Any additional comments in regards to moving forward with this fund? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan.
Mr. Arrowood?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. With that, then we'll move to items of new business, the first of which is to review a bid summary for a 2013 pumper fire truck. Chief Harvey, you want to bring us information in that regard?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As you're aware, we're out in the bid for a 2013 pumper. Our bid package was sent out to over 8 different vendors. We received 3 different bids back. Only one bid completely met our specification. However, the other 2 bids had exceptions to those. I've asked our apparatus committee to join me here tonight in case we have any questions. The committee would like to recommend that we go with the SMIL apparatus bid with the exceptions, as they feel the exceptions are equal to or are an improvement in some of the categories.
Noteworthy that is the low bid.
Yes, sir.
That is indeed the low bid,
That
but it
is.
does include an exception, and we wanted council to be fully aware that the exception is noted, it is acceptable to us at a staff level, and we're recommending to council that we would approve the low bid with the exception as provided.
And the exception is,
There's several exceptions to it. I guess the major exception probably is that they're bidding a welded body instead of a bolted together body, which is the specification that we sent out was requiring. However, we have several welded body apparatus in our fleet now, and committee feels comfortable with accepting the welded body apparatus.
without being terribly technical about it, I mean, what would be the advantage to the bolted as opposed to the welded repair cost, or what? It seems to me like a bolt might come loose over time, whereas a weld typically won't.
Both bodies have a 20-year warranty on them. I think the original thought was that in the event of an accident involving the apparatus, let's say the right rear corner was involved, hit it, or another vehicle, or they backed into something, theoretically you could call the company and say, I need the right rear compartment, and they could send it to you, and you can unbolt that compartment and bolt it back in. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We just developed concerns that maybe those bolts will become loose over time, and that may become a problem for a welded body being more structurally sound over time.
Chief, this truck is going to replace an existing truck?
Yes, sir. It's going to replace the 1988 pumper that would not, it's a reserve truck that wouldn't pass pump test. This truck will actually be going to Station 2. And, the truck at Station 2 will be coming to headquarters. They also give us the opportunity to give a little bit newer truck as a backup truck at our Station 4 that we share with Pelham Baseball. We're putting a 2001 model in that station versus a 1991 model as a backup. All bids came in under our budget figure in the budget. So, as I said earlier, the committee would like to recommend the low bid with the exceptions. Most of the exceptions are equal to or are in improvement.
So the truck is replacing, you're still going to use it for something?
No, sir. We're going to sell it.
Oh, okay.
Make you a good deal on it.
I was going to say, what's a used fire truck going for?
Never know when you might need your own property.
You own an insurance company, you put it out in front of your insurance company. Council, there is action required on this. I'll entertain a motion to receive the recommendation of the fire chief in regards to the 2013 pumper truck.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The floor is open for discussion.
Mr. Driggers, do we have this is an in general question about bids, but here we're being asked to approve, I know we've already approved the dollars.
Yes, sir.
Just approving the bid. But do we have do you have a policy for your departments to give council a heads up, a little bit more information besides this is the dollar amount of the bids?
That should be done during the budget process when we're requesting dollars for equipment, typically. In this example, under normal circumstances, this would not have been brought to council to approve the bid. Our ordinances indicate that if it is budgeted for and it is the low bid, you allow the administrator to authorize that low bid. I bring those to you when there are exceptions, because in our ordinance it also says that the council has the authority to accept, reject, or amend any bid. It doesn't allow that the administrator has that authority. It allows council to have that. Because the bid did indicate that the bolted body is what would have been required. That is what was specified in the bid. To allow an exception does open the door that there could be a challenge to that bid by another vendor who simply says, I bid what you indicated should have been provided. And that is exactly what happened. Our bid package said bolted body. And that's what was required in the specification.
Well, do you go back to the ones that bid then with the bolted body and see what their bid is?
Well, you really can't do that because all bids are now publicly known.
I see. Okay.
You could reject all bids and put them back out, but you have corrupted the process to some extent.
Well, I think, see what she's saying. Who's to say that Spartan or Toyne couldn't have welded it for less than $462,000?
And that's possible. The problem that we have is that because we have a governmental procurement policy that basically says low is good, and that's just not always the case. And so we try very hard to allow in that ordinance discretion, but that discretion has to be at the elected officials level. We don't think it's appropriate that that's at staff level. And again, had they bid what we spec and they were the low bid, we wouldn't be here. We would have purchased and moved on. But because there's an exception, I felt that it's necessary to bring that to council.
Well, they gave their bid on something that wasn't asked for. So I guess the other companies
could have done
the same
They
thing.
could have. They knowingly said, we are bidding this product, which is an exception to what you have asked for.
Right.
And
the
that's
other
not
companies
uncommon.
had that prerogative also.
In the bid process, that is not uncommon. And I will be very upfront and forward to tell you how these things happen. These bid packages are extremely complicated. They're detailed and they're extremely complicated. It is not unusual that you will utilize the services of a vendor to assist you in writing bid packages. That is done when we buy any type of equipment. It is not unusual that we would solicit the vendors themselves to help us write the bid package. That was the case here as well. And one vendor would want us to only accept a certain style or make or manufacturer type because that is their product.
Right.
And when it's submitted as an exception, I think the chief was wise in going back to his internal committee that helped with those specifications and said, this is what's being requested. What do we think? Because what could have happened is that we could have been here tonight saying the specifications call for a welded frame. That's what it's spec'd. That is not the low bid. It is a higher bid, but because we feel very strongly that is what we need, we are recommending that a higher bid be accepted because we believe it's a superior product. When it went back to the committee, what the committee said is, we don't believe that. We believe that we can have the appropriate apparatus and the exception meets our needs, it meets the quality that we need, and it's the lower price.
By vendor, you mean these companies?
Yes.
One of these companies helped write the order for this fire truck?
Not unusual at all. Yes, they did.
What it basically boils down to is, if I may, It's really it's from the compartmentation back. We're speccing a certain chassis, and all three of these vendors are speccing the same chassis. To simplify our fleet from a maintenance standpoint, we've been going with Spartan chassis since the 90s. We've been very pleased with the performance of them, and we want to keep it that way. So we have, in the past, used vendors to help the spec writing process because it is a very complicated. Nobody pretty much does their own spec because there's so much stuff in there from the standards, the NFPA standards, the EPA standards, the ANSI standards, and it just the list is you'd have to be 2 or 3 engineered. You'd almost have to have the spec writing software nowadays to help know if you're compliant or not with what you're trying to do with the specification. So that's why you sit down and actually the committee sat down with 2 different vendors, and the committee chose to send the spec out that they did by one of the vendors here. We requested a voting body. The other 2.
Yeah, and it's important to note, that vendor is not the vendor we're recommending. The vendor that assisted us in writing the spec is not the vendor that we're recommending that it be awarded to.
Can I clarify that the Spartan bid is also a voting body?
Yeah, I probably misunderstood this. Yeah. The Spartan bid is a welded body, and the Smil bid is a welded body. There's several different small exceptions on the Smil bid. Most of them is a different maker of a valve or a different, which is equal to or better in some cases. And there's some upgrades that the vendor put in on like the hose bed cover. He put an electric hydraulic instead of a manual hose bed cover on it, so it's safer maybe or more reliable.
So how long is this truck supposed to last?
Should get 20
How many
years
fires we have.
frontline service, yeah.
But typically, life of an engine is...
Yeah, you start for first out 10, 15 years, another 5 years or 7 to 5 years in the reserve type capacity. So our 1991 truck that we have in reserve, we'll probably go into training after this one is kind of is utilized as a reserve truck, and it still cranks and pumps. Not as used near as often, of course, as is in reserve capacity, but trucks go down for maintenance, you have to have a reserve unit. ISO requires us to have a reserve unit to go into place.
Council, you've heard the recommendation of the Chief in this regard. Any other questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan.
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert, Mayor Danner.
Yes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee, for joining us this evening. This is the first reading of annexation ordinance 29-2013. This is an ordinance to provide for the annexation of a portion of property owned by Textron Properties Incorporated located on Commerce Court by 100% petition and to establish a zoning classification of I-1 for said property. Mr. Pace?
Mayor and Council, the portion of this property we're talking about is 25-foot strip to the rear of the portion extending across 2 parcels owned by Textron. This would be on Commerce Court. They're off of South Buncombe across from the Associated Packaging site there, just to kind of familiarize yourself with it. The situation is to gain contiguity to 3 other parcels that are adjacent to this for the purpose of annexation for construction of a car wash. Planning Commission will meet on September the 16th to conduct public hearing in regards to a zoning classification of I-1, which is existing in Greenville County on this 25-foot strip. Seeing no need to change that at this time, so I'll think the recommendation will be favorable in regards to that.
By show of hand, is the owner or a representative of the owner of the property in question with us this evening? Let the record indicate no one indicated that they were. Huh? Would you like to speak in regards to this request? Okay. All right. Entertain a motion to receive 29-2013.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Questions? Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Bookert,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, this is the first reading of annexation ordinance 30-2013, an ordinance to provide for the annexation of property owned by Culberson Land Company 3 LLC located on Commerce Court, Commerce Drive, and South Buncombe Road by 100% petition and to establish a zoning classification of C3 for said properties. Mr. Basin.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, this property would be on the corner of Buncombe Road, South Buncombe Road, Commerce Drive, and then another parcel on Commerce Court. So you're taking up 3 parcels right there. This is directly behind the Delaventura's Italian restaurant there. It's where it backs into. There is a common drive that runs between the businesses and Commerce Court back there as a private drive, and also the others are Commerce Drive and Court or county roads, and we're seeking also annexation of to the center line of those 2 roads, but not currently to Buncombe Road at this time, which is a state road. 3 parcels are totaling 2.89 acres. They are currently vacant. Greenville County has them listed as industrial, I-1 and C2 commercial. We are requesting, or will request that public hearing for a C3 zoning for the construction of a car wash. This would be a relocation and construction of the Main Street car wash here, which has been a favorable business in the city for quite a number of years, and is looking at a new location to in fact update and modernize their facilities, and we eagerly anticipate this, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. By show of hand, is the owner of the property or representative of the owner of the property with us this evening? Would you like to make a comment in regards to this?
Sure.
All right.
I'm Bruce Culbertson. My family's owned Main Street Car Wash here since the early 70s. We also own the 3 locations of Greenville Car Wash in Greenville, Simpsonville, 2 in Greenville, and 1 in Simpsonville. Main Street Car Wash has been a nice little location for us, but it's outgrown our ability to service our clientele there. The property is too small for expansion, and the facilities are too outdated. We've been looking for some time for a suitable piece of property here in Greer to basically rebuild and modernize, build a new facility. We're looking, our plans at this point are to pretty much duplicate one we built in Simpsonville 6 years ago. This will be an extremely efficient operation. It is much better from an environmental standpoint and water usage and all of these sorts of things that the modern car takes into consideration. We're just basically looking to give better service to the clientele that we have here in Greer. It's been a good relationship over the years, and we feel like this market is continuing to grow, and it's well worth our time and money to invest in it.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being with us this evening. Council will entertain a motion to receive 30-2013.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan.
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Bookert,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Council.
Thank you, sir. Council will entertain the first reading of ordinance 31-2013, an ordinance consenting to and approving the issuance of a not exceeding $10.2 million the Greer Trust Installment Purchase Revenue Refunding Bond Series 2013 by the Greer Trust to provide funds to refund the outstanding principal amount of the $9.8 million Greer Trust Installment Purchase Revenue Bond, City of Greer Municipal Complex Project Series 2006B bond, consenting to and approving the execution of either a third supplemental municipal facilities purchase and occupancy agreement or any municipal facilities purchase and occupancy agreement as the case may be, relating thereto and by and between the City of Greer, South Carolina and the Greer Trust, consenting to the form of a 2013 indenture to be entered into by the Greer Trust and the purchaser of the Series 2013 bond, and together therewith an assignment to the purchaser of certain rights to payment and other rights of the Greer Trust under the Municipal Facilities Purchase and Occupancy Agreement, authorizing the execution and delivery of amendments to various agreements related to the Series 2006 bond, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents relating thereto, and making provisions for all other matters relating to the foregoing. With that being said, I thought Chuck Reynolds would be joining us this evening, since only CPW has something that sounds like that. Apparently, Mr. Seifert will explain this to us.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. That was a mouthful. As you're aware, the Greer Trust borrowed the money to build the City Municipal Complex, and through the occupancy agreement that the city holds with Greer Trust in the form of rent that we pay the Greer Trust, that is the revenue earned by the Greer Trust, which they in turn pay debt on these bonds. With the interest rate market as it is, we were seeking some beneficial rates in refunding those bonds and taking advantage of those lower rates. And this ordinance does authorize the renewing of that ground lease agreement held between the city and Greer Trust, and using that as the revenue source for the Greer Trust to repay the new bonds. So this ordinance does authorize that action and renews the ground lease agreements and the indentures between the City of Greer and Greer Trust.
If council approves the ordinance, Greer Trust will then meet, and then they will issue an ordinance or approve documents to allow for the refinancing of that older debt for new debt at a lower interest rate. Obviously, that's the intent, is to long-term save dollars by taking advantage of lower interest rate.
Council, you've heard an explanation. Entertain a motion to receive 31-2013.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second in that regard. Any questions of Mr. Seifert or Mr. Driggers?
Well, for Mr. Driggers, it's just kind of a fun factoid. I'd like to know, since we entered into our first loan agreements, or the first bonds were issued, several times we've refinanced, and I'd like to know how much we have saved every time in total, because it's got to be a lot.
I'm going to say cumulative, David, $5 million?
So just in the Greer Trust bonds, or everything that we refinanced?
Just for our municipal project, $20 million.
To go back and look.
Because that was $17 million original.
Yeah, the original, the facilities were $22 million. We borrowed 17. We've already refunded 2 of them, combined them into one, and that piece is not being refunded here, and then this piece is being refunded. In interest cost savings between all the refundings, several million.
I like that.
We stepped up to play at the right time on that.
Yes, we
did. No other time in history could we have done that.
Relative to an earlier comment this evening, that's money we can use.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan.
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, in executive session, I have one brief legal matter I want to give you an update on. I don't anticipate we'll take any action, but we do need to adjourn to executive session. For this, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. So moved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Ms. Booker.
Yes.
Mr. Dumas.
Yes.
Mr. Bettis.
Yes.
Ms. Albert. Yes. Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, in executive session, we've considered one legal matter, taking no action in that regard. Do I hear a motion to come out of executive session? So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Ms. Booker.
Yes.
Mr. Dumas.
Yes.
Mr. Bettis.
Yes.
Ms. Albert.
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, we stand adjourned.